we go with the J.R. Joker Show. I said the J.R. Joker Show. Oh, big question before we continue. Do these sunglasses make me look fat? Honestly. Come on, be frank. Okay, well, let me know. Just write in and let me know. Sunglasses, even cheap ones. ZZ Top has that song, right? Okay. Ultimate fashion accessory. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fashionista. You don't want to take my advice on accessories, but they are the ultimate accessory. If you're wearing sunglasses, nothing else matters. You could be a man. You could be wearing a floral dress with one high heel and one flip-flop. A woman's floral dress. Did I say that? A floral summer dress. Did I say a floral woman? No, a woman's floral dress. Otherwise, the woman look like she's all tattooed with flowers. A man could be wearing a dress, a woman's dress, and anything on his feet. He could be wearing a bonnet. But if he's wearing sunglasses, you kind of get the idea like he knows what he's doing. That's a fact. You can wear sunglasses, nothing else matters. You can go to a formal wedding in a t-shirt and cutoffs and flip-flops, but if you're wearing sunglasses, you can perform the ceremony, be the best man, whatever. Anyway, that's how I feel about sunglasses. So, on our last episode, I was telling you about how I was name dropping of how I got hired to find Paul McCartney studio, because the one where I worked at, it was booked, and he wanted to rehearse there. Anyway, so it's the funniest thing when you have to do a job like that. I went to about half a dozen places. I narrowed it down, and I think I mentioned pretty big names were rehearsing at these places like Bob Dylan and Julio Iglesias, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you want to hear my Julio Iglesias? Of all the girls I loved before. Anyway, so here's the deal. I'm not allowed to tell the people that it's for Paul McCartney. So I just go in there and I say, I'm seeking a rehearsal studio for 1 week, and I cannot tell you who this person is. I could assure you this is probably the biggest musical celebrity on the planet. I won't even say this person's gender. You must sign a contract if he decides to pick your studio to rehearse in. The contract stipulates that you cannot tell anybody that he is here. If you do, you will be in breach of contract, and there will be legal consequences to suffer. And that's all I can tell you. Now show me your place. By then, they're just like, who is it? Who is it? I said, I can't tell you. And they show me the place, hoping. And then when they finally picked the place, I never even found out who it was. Also, I didn't get paid. I think I mentioned to you, like, Paul's tour producer was not like Mr. Nice Guy, but he was impressed. I knew Adam West, so or worked with him. No, man, right? So so I never found out which place that I picked or showed the guy was picked. That was like, I'm too low to share that information with, and I'm not being sarcastic. It's actually true, So anyway, Maka is a pretty big shot, as big shots go. I don't think it's such a big deal that I didn't get paid. Why? Because money doesn't buy happiness. Conversely, or is it inversely, happiness will not bring you wealth. It's kind of, maybe happiness and wealth just don't end up in the same pot. How unusual. So, it's going to be a short episode now. Please go look at my other episodes. There's about 24, lined up underneath this one. Song parodies, skits, lots of stand-up, a lot of these things. I would call this stand-up. So tune in. Oh yeah, well, one more bit about the studio, about name dropping. Uh, about a month after I shot some commercials with Adam West, the ones that impressed Paul McCartney's tour producer so much, I did a commercial with a fellow by the name of Bob Eubanks. He was a star of the Newlywed Game, not to be confused with the Dating Game. I guess that was the next step after you were on the Dating Game. You went on the Newlywed Game, and then you went on the Separated Game, the Divorce Game, Bad Jokes. Okay, so Bob Eubank was the host of the Newlywed Game, stupid quiz show, but he was pretty well known. It's a pretty popular show. It's out for years. Hashtag obscure reference. And so he was actually cheap, so I thought I'd hire him as a spokesperson for a certain product. And we flew him out here from California. And he was a little bit full of himself, you know, much lower echelon than most of the other people I was working with. But you know, when I tried to direct him, he was like, "Hey, you hired Bob Eubanks, you get Bob Eubanks." You know, like, okay. But while we're like having lunch or something, he wanted to like impress us that he wasn't just a game show guy. He wanted to tell us what kind of people he hangs out with. So he started telling me about being invited to dinner at Glenn Ford's house, or having, maybe he crashed, maybe he wasn't invited. He just went to have dinner at Glenn Ford's house. Glenn Ford was a very, very successful big actor in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. I don't know, you know Shawshank Redemption? And Morgan Freeman won't talk to Tim Robbins until this part of the movie is over, when Rita Hayworth throws her hair back. Okay, well, she's the star of that movie, but the guy who's her leading man in that movie is Glenn Ford. Okay, so he was telling me he's having dinner at Glenn Ford's house, and if that wasn't enough, Cary Grant was a guest there. He had to throw that in, although Cary Grant, you know, didn't really have anything to do more with the story. But anyway, as an aside, after he went back to California, I discovered he left his salmon-colored sweater there, so I FedExed it to him, and he never thanked me. Anyway, so some people in show business are nice, some people are not. So there you go. We'll get back to more comedy instead of like true life stories from my pathetic life. Okay, Haribo. See you tomorrow. See you next time on the JR Joker Show.